it's Kat and I'm back today to do some project pan updating. So this is going to be my monthly project pan check-in for the month of July, and then after this I'm going to be filming my sheet mask one, so that will be coming up in my next video. I have gone a little bit off with my check-in times, so I'm going to be reflecting on the last, I think it's around 3 weeks. I think I did my last project pan checking quite late. Even though it has been slightly shorter, I have been making some decent progress and there is some stuff that I can talk about that I've used up, which is great. But I'm going to try to make my next sort of check-in a little bit earlier as well, so I can bring them back to sort of the start of the month, which is what I originally had them at. But I've sort of gone off kilter for some reason. But let's talk about the products that I've used up. The first one, and this is not a surprise if you saw how I did my like daily makeup and you saw the state of this. It's the Fenty Eaze drop, I think it is, or Easy Drop foundation stick. So this is one where you can twist it all the way up to like you can use every single drop of it. Because this was one that was a casualty from the makeup breakup, I sort of had to stick this one back in. It had fallen out. So I had a little nub that kept falling out and I ended up having to pick it up and like draw it on my face, and it was getting quite annoying. But I'm glad that this is done because I didn't quite like this. It was very easy to use, but I just found that it didn't last very well on me and my skin. It sort of just wore off the sort of center of my face, which is generally the oilier center, throughout the day. But it was very good for just quick makeup, and the shade match, which is 3, was quite good for me. So that is done. Now I do have not too many foundations, which is good. And all the foundations I have in my drawer generally I like, I think. There are some that I don't think are really sort of appropriate for this weather, or maybe the tone is a little bit off. But I've ultimately decided to pan this one. This is Lys, or LYS, you can get it from Sephora. This is the Triple Fix Serum Foundation. The main reason I am going to pan this at the moment, it's not my oldest foundation by any means, and I don't like dislike it, but it is starting to separate. I have noticed when I was sort of testing it out, I was pumping it out, and even if you give it a good shake, it would like splurt out a little bit like oil or like a liquid, and you'd have to sort of mix it together with your brush or your sponge. So to me, that's an indication that this is starting to get maybe a little bit old or a little bit something, not happy. So I want to use this up. Now I have actually marked it. So I've been using this the last week or so, maybe a week and a half, sort of seeing if it works well enough that I can use it on a daily basis. I do find that this, again, like it's winter and it should be a time where I can wear more hydrating stuff without it sort of slipping off my face because I'm not very oily. But for me, this one doesn't last super well. I have to lean quite heavily into concealer to make it sort of wear well, but I can use it as an everyday foundation. The color match isn't too bad. It is like the right sort of undertone for me. It's a little bit pinky. It's not like obnoxiously pink where it makes me look like I'm detached from my body. It actually has like a peachiness that I think works with my skin tone. It is a little bit dark, but again, mixing it with my concealer that's a little bit light tends to work quite well. So I'm currently down to here. You can see a settle line through here, which is handy. And I'm hoping if I use this on a daily basis, I will use it up before winter, I'm hoping. So that's that. A really simple one. I used up my Smashbox. This is the Photo Finish Primer Water in Air. These are tiny little bottles. These were limited edition Christmas packs. You get them in duos. And I have since switched over to using my water one. Now this was full. It is now down to here. So these are very easy to use. I don't use these on a daily basis by any means. If my makeup's feeling a bit powdery, I will go in with like a good dousing of this. Sometimes if I feel a little bit sort of dry throughout the day, I might give myself a mist when I'm at my computer, but I only need to do that a couple times a week and I can sort of see some really good progress. So this will be done probably by next check-in, and then I'll have to think of what I want to introduce next. I do have a full unopened bottle of the original primer water. So do I go that route? Do I go something else? I'm not too sure, but I'll suss it out. Another interesting one that I used up, and again, if you saw how I do my daily makeup using my Project Pan products, which I'll link in the description box, you'll see that to do that look, I had to sort of gouge into this primer stick. So this is the Sigma Eyeshadow Base Primer in the shade Bubbly. It was like a champagne-y pink color. This is done. So it's wound all the way up. I'll have where I was up to last month, but I've also dug into it a little bit with a makeup spatula. Now that I don't love this enough to use up every single little speck of product in there, but it is done. What I have switched to, and this is an interesting one, I'm mainly switching to it because I feel like it is getting slightly old, and I know these products take a long time to use up. It is by MAC and it is a paint pot. Now this is the Born to Beam. I'm wearing this as an eyeshadow on my eyes today, and I'll show it to you close up, but it is a gold paint pot. Now gold is not my color. Let's just put it out there. I don't really think most metallic, maybe besides bronze, yellow gold, not for me. Champagne, sure. Silver, no. I'm more of a sort of neutral girl, I would say. So this one has been sitting in my drawer for a while, but I really like the paint pot formulation. It does wear really nicely on me as an eyeshadow and also as a base. This is it close up, and I have been using this for the past week or two now. And one thing I do like is this is not a super bold gold. So if you do apply it, especially with a brush, it gives you a really sort of twinkly effect. So it's like a dispersed shimmer. And I do have it on my eyes today just with a bit of matte blended into the crease and on the lower lash line. So that is all this pretty much. So it's not a really foiled metallic bold effect. It's more like a twinkle. And it reminds me a little bit of a gold version of Urban Decay Space Cowboy, where it's got that sort of twinkle, but it's a little bit more intense than that. And it's very, very gold, but it also pairs nicely with eyeshadows over the top. So do I want to wear a sparkly gold every day? No, but that is why I'm going to predominantly use it as a base. So when I do use something like my eyeshadow palette that I'm trying to pan, and I use any shade, like it pairs really beautifully with this shade, I can put a champagne over it, a brown over it, and it doesn't really, it just acts as a base. It just holds it in place. So that's how I'm mainly going to be wearing this, but there are going to be days where I'm like, ooh, a nice sort of soft twinkle of yellow gold. Why not? Or I might even use it, like lay it on top of things. I don't know, we'll find out, but it has been in my collection for a few years now, and I obviously don't reach for it enough, so I may as well use it or lose it. I may as well talk about my eyeshadow palette since I showed it to you. I've made no real obvious dips in it. Look, okay, maybe there's one, I don't know, I'll show you close up. As I mentioned in my get ready with me type video, I predominantly use this line, and I really like using this, and this is where I'm seeing a bit of a dip. So this was sort of flat before, but this is what I'm wearing today on my lower lash line and blending out the eyeshadow. And there is a little dip in there because it is one that I reach for. Otherwise, there's a little nick in there that was actually, I think, I clipped it with something, but I do use this shade the most. And there's a little bit of wear possibly down here, but on the screen, I'll have comparison photos. So hopefully with a still image side by side, you'll be able to see anywhere, but it's a month wear. Like obviously it's very hard to see. While we're up close, I'll show you my Natasha Denona. This is the Bloom palette that I introduced last month. I am wearing it on my cheeks today. So this color and only this color. It's a really beautiful blush. It's got sort of like a peachy base. It's got this sort of gold sheen to it. I really like it. It's been the thing that I've been wearing the most. Sometimes I do delve into these. They can be a little bit balmy, so you can see how shiny and sort of balmy it is. So they don't work the best on all foundations. So yeah, occasionally I'll use them, but it's mainly this that I've been using. Hopefully with a comparison, we might see the ND sort of pan design wear down a little bit over time, but it's definitely the blush I've been using the most. To the detriment of my MAC Glow Play blush, this one has been barely used. I might have used this only a handful of times in the past few weeks, so I'll have a comparison photo on the screen, but it is, yeah, I'm going to keep it in because I don't want to put it back in my collection, but I'm definitely favoring the sort of glowy powder blush at the moment. I've worn these only a couple of times, so I'm not going to spend much time on them. My Kevyn Aucoin, this is actually a highlighter powder that I've sort of mixed up and turned it into a glowy bronzer. There might be a little bit of wear, but again, I think I've worn this 3 times, maybe. To be fair, one time I wore it like all over my face because I was doing a work sort of masterclass type 2-hour session that I was hosting, and it was at night and I had like lights on and I looked really washed out. So I literally took these and put it all over my face to combat that. So maybe there's a bit of wear, and if it is, it's because of that. This is not something that I'd bother swapping out. So if I'm really not using something, I'll just like put it back in my collection, swap it out for something I am using. But to be fair, I'm just not vibing bronzers at the moment. It's just not the right weather for it. Maybe when the weather picks up and I want to look a little bit more bronzed, but right now I'm not really liking it. I feel like it looks a bit unnatural coming from the person with like bright burgundy lips and like gold eyelids, whatever. It just feels too much at the moment. It's that little step too much. And if I was to take this out of this project, it'd be to declutter it because it's old and I don't need it. I will not declutter this though. This is my Nabla highlighter, and to be fair, it is completely scratched off at the back, so you'll have to refer to the description box. I think the shade was Ozone, but I really like this highlighter. There is nothing wrong with it. It's beautiful. I have used this again a handful of times because it is sort of like quite a firm pan product. You really don't see much wear down or movement to it. So, and because I have been wearing a blush that has a highlighter glow to it, it's unnecessary to then go over the top with this, but it is beautiful. I want to keep it in the project because even if I have to carry it over to next year, it's something that I want to use up and enjoy. And I think it's really versatile and a really beautiful highlighter. So I really like that. It's just at the moment not my main focus. Let's talk about powders. So my Laura Geller, this is actually a powder foundation. It's a decent coverage one. It's called Double Take Baked Versatile Powder Foundation. You'll see the pan on this. So I have definitely been wearing it. Compared to last month, there was no pan. Pretty much it's a domed baked product, and I'd worn it down so the dome was a little bit more flat, but you can see I've been wearing it quite a bit. Now the way I use this is sometimes on its own, so quick sort of, I need to chuck something on for a work meeting or whatever, take my kid to kinder and I don't know, whatever, who cares? I might chuck this on and very quick. I don't like it on its own because it can cling to patches and sort of emphasize texture and look a bit dry on the skin. But I did also find this really good to set this Fenty stick foundation because this was quite balmy and emollient, and I found that sometimes it needed something a bit more like, I don't know, something with a bit more substance to set it, and this was a good one, so I often paired the two. I've pulled back a little bit now that I've swapped to a liquid foundation, but it's also really good for touch-up. So I find that sometimes, like I said, these foundations, they're not lasting all super well on me. So again, if I've got like an afternoon meeting or something and I just want to like touch up around my nose, I'll go in with this. So this should be done fairly quickly. I'm not going to force it because I think I want to see more progress on the liquid foundation than the powder, but this is being used at a surprising rate in my opinion. Onto my Franken powder, I suppose. So I've got two Laura Mercier setting powders. These are both loose setting powders. They contain a lot. So this is 29 grams, 29 grams. So it's a lot of powder. Now I mix these. So I've got the translucent sort of loose setting powder, which is more of your sort of matte finish. And then I've got one that's a glow version. This is essentially a loose highlighter, like a gold loose highlighter in a giant tub. I can't wear this all over my face. It's ridiculous. But I am mixing them roughly sort of like 2-to-1 ratio to create a setting powder that has a little bit of luminosity in it. And what I do is I decant it and mix it into this. So I have just topped this up today. It was empty. It was the first time I topped it up this month, to be fair. So I do know that I've made some progress on this. I've been weighing them. You can see the product being taken out. But to be fair, the product is in here. So I haven't used all of that up yet, but that's the easiest way to track it. So I have been making progress. And when I do look, I'm going to be up shit creek, to be fair. This one is doing really well. I am probably down to a quarter, maybe a third. Hopefully you can see there, it's sort of down quite low. So I have been using quite a lot of that. Okay, this is so much harder to see through. I don't know if it's because the powder is blocking it, because maybe just the shimmer is like coating the sides, or it could be because I've barely made a dent in this And that may also be the case. So I'm finding that this is going to way outlive this one, which we know because I'm using more of this. Yeah, that's going to be a bit of a hindrance, I think, down the track. Got to figure out what else mixes well with that. Oh, I've made some really good progress on my Bobbi Brown. This is the Vitamin Enriched Face Base. I think I was weighing this, but hopefully you can see there is not much around the sides and there's only a bit of product down the bottom. Granted, this is sort of like a moisturizing primer, so it sort of is like a moisturizer. I like it because it creates a really beautiful base. Like I feel like my skin is a lot smoother when I use it. Even if I'm not wearing much makeup and I don't think I really need a beautiful perfected smooth base, because it's winter and because I'm like, my skin can handle a bit more moisturizer. Sometimes I'll even use this on minimal makeup days. So I am sort of making more of an effort to use it, just simply because we're nearly done. So why not? So yeah, I think this will be done by next check-in, which will be good. I'll put the weights on the screen of my concealer. This is my Mecca Max concealer. I've been using this quite a lot. And to be fair, there are times where it starts to feel a little bit dry. I do not think it's because there's a lack of product in here. No way, no how, because this is quite a high coverage. I'm just gonna have a look. It's a high coverage concealer and I don't use heaps of it. But to be fair, now that I'm looking, I think it's very much bottom loaded. So I am getting to a point where I might have to start like taking the stopper out and using it that way. So I'm not quite there. But I thought this was going to last me like all year because it's so high coverage. But apparently I've been hitting it up, which is fine. Same goes for my L'Oreal mascara. I really enjoy this. It is starting to get dry and I am starting to find myself really scraping the sides. So again, I will have weights on the screen. I'm using this pretty much every day and I do find that there's plenty left. Again, I think it's sort of down the bottom where you really have to sort of work for it, but I don't think I'm going to be running out anytime soon. But yeah, there we go. Let's talk about lip products. I introduced a lot of lip products last month. I don't know if that was the smart move or not. Who knows? I've still got my 2 Hourglass ones going strong. I've got the shade I Can't Live Without, which is that berry. I don't wear this every day, but obviously, and I'm not even wearing it today. So what I'm wearing today is a lot bolder, but it is the time of the year to use this. So I am trying to make an effort. Like if I'm going out somewhere, like I went to the city yesterday, this came with me, I applied it. I am trying to make an effort to use this, even on days where I'm like maybe using just a lip balm, but I want a little bit of a rosy color. I'll tend to put a little bit of this down and sort of blot it down. So I'm trying. I was also hoping that I'd be done with the shade You Are My, which is the nude that I tend to use a lot. Like there's not much left. Again, I'll have comparisons on the screen. But with this one, I have pulled back a little bit because of the other lip products that I've introduced. So I do think I'm hindering myself a little bit. This is a very bold nude. So it's a nude that I wear when I'm wanting it to be more like the statement, like the nude lip being the bold sort of feature of the face. If I want something a little bit more pared back, I go with one of these 3 that I've introduced. So I've got my e.l.f. This is probably my favorite lip product, hands down, favorite lip product of the 3. This is the Hydrating Core Lip Shine in the shade Happy. This is really lovely. I do wear this quite a lot. There's not heaps left. I don't know where this was at when I introduced it. I feel like I use this a lot, but then there's days where I will not touch it because I'm sort of alternating between the 3. So I don't know if I did weights or if I took a photo, but comparison will be on the screen. And that's by far my favorite. It's a beautiful color, beautiful finish, feels really nice. Love the smell. Everything about it I really like. I have been hitting this up really hard. Like this morning alone, before I applied this, I think I applied this 2 or 3 times. So I'm hoping that I'm seeing amazing results and I want this done by next check-in because I don't like it. This is the Revlon Kiss Glow Lip Oil. I like the color. It's quite nice on. It feels quite nice, but it doesn't last very long, like an hour max pretty much. And I find that the more I wear it, the drier my lips feel. So this has, I don't know what it is, but it has an ingredient that is making my lips feel drier than I did before I used it, which is the absolute opposite point of a lip oil. When I apply this, I over apply it. Like I'm applying like 5 dips of it, trying to just get as much on as possible. I can't tell how much is in there. I might start taking the stopper out so I can have a better idea, but I want this gone. It's not very nice. Then the Jouer, this is the Essential Lip Enhancer Shine Balm in the shade Amaryllis. I really like the color of this. Again, I don't love the formula. This one I've got the most of, so I've still got quite a lot. It's this beautiful sort of like caramel nude brown. I really like it. One thing I don't love about this, I just find that this one can look a bit funny sometimes. So I have a tendency to sort of over apply my lip balms. I think partly because I'm trying to use them up, partly because it's winter, and partly because I like a bit of color on my lips. So I might like do a couple of swipes, and then I realize that when I look back later in the mirror, it's actually sort of migrated over my lip line and is starting to look a little bit really messy. So this one can look messy. I think less is more. You put a little bit on, you can even blot some down. But it's just a little bit fickle for me. It doesn't feel like it, like I just keep wanting to reach for this instead. My Rimmel Scandaleyes Kohl Kajal eyeliner in brown. Hopefully you can see in the progress shots that I have been using this quite a bit and sharpening it. Now the lid has come loose, so it's broken. So I feel like I'm going to get to a point, like I've just been sliding it back in and hoping for the best. But I feel like there's going to be a point where I'm like, this is going to probably around here. It's going to be like done, whatever. But I have been enjoying using it. I have found myself missing a sort of black liquid type liner. So I have been reaching just organically for my Soap & Glory Super Cat liquid black eyeliner. So this is a felt tip eyeliner, and sometimes I'll just use this just to give a little bit of definition to the lash line, because this is not only a creamy brown, but it's also got shimmer in it. And I find that sometimes if you want to use that as like a defining feature, it doesn't look very crisp because the shimmer particles sort of just make it look a little bit blurrier, if that makes sense. So I have decided to add this one into this project just because it is something that I reach for a couple of times a week. So why not? Why not? And I also feel like this will be done fairly soon. I've been using my brow powder, but I don't think you'll see great results. I will have photos on the screen because it's very hard to see. There is a dent. I'm going to say there's a dent towards the side of the light color. So I think if I start focusing exclusively on that area, I might start hitting pan soon. So I might do that. I tend to just sort of run the brush or applicator sort of along the middle part just willy-nilly, but I think I might start to get a little bit more selective and try to target the parts that I can see progress on, so you can see progress. But I have been using it a lot. Other months I sort of have been deferring to pencils sometimes when I find that I just can't be bothered finding the brush or whatever, but I have been pretty dedicated to the cause this month where this has been the main focus. However, I kind of forgot that I had a brow gel in here as well. So a brow setter. This is also from Benefit. I really like this product. There's nothing wrong with it. I just have not used it. So I'm not going to even bother weighing this. I'll just use the weight from last check-in because I have not touched this. So this is going to be something that is not just sitting at the bottom of my makeup bag anymore. It's going to be something that I've encourage myself to use because I kind of forgot all about it, but that's okay. We'll come back to it. Of course, just as I'm about to finish this, the sun comes out and makes me look less like a corpse. Thank you. All right, so that's my update for July, my project pan. I'd love to know how you're going with yours if you're doing one. What are your hiccups? What are your triumphs? Tell me all about it. I'll be in the comments having a chat. Thank you to my beautiful members for supporting my channel. If you do want to support my channel and have your name on the screen like these beautiful people, there is a join button. It's up to you. You do you. And I will see you all in my next one, which will be the mask, sheet mask project pan thingamabob that I've been doing. See ya.